I know a lot of people have spent the last several months kind of reevaluating what they do with work, what they do with their family. And I think it's kind of interesting what your survey has brought out. That's something that lots of people think they're going to reassess their work lives going forward, right?
Yes, Becky. So at Manpower Group, we tend to analyze the labor market in three vectors. So first, what's happening real time with hiring across our country? Second, forward-looking, how are employers thinking about hiring across the next quarter? And then finally, in what you were referring to, any long-term shifts that we see that are impacting the world of work. So in terms of real-time hiring that we're seeing today, we have BLS numbers tomorrow. Those are a bit in the past, and the labor market's changing by the day. So in real time, we continue to see evidence of a two-speed recovery, a K-shaped recovery, where there's increased demand for some roles and decline in demand for others. On the increasing side, think about things that transform businesses, software developers, app developers, the IT space. We're also seeing increase in demand for jobs that move things, logistics workers, warehouse workers, things like that. And then finally, those that help people that truly have gotten us through this pandemic, the healthcare worker sector. On the decline, interestingly enough, the service sector. So I was pleased to see some of the retail stocks you highlighted just a moment ago, but cashiers, particularly in clothing, really having a challenging time. We're seeing some decline in maintenance in terms of companies deciding what to do with their real estate and what to do with their hours. On the forward-looking side, we do a quarterly survey simply asking American employers, about 8,000 American employers, what are your hiring intentions for the quarter ahead? So it's a little bit of employer sentiment, if you will. And we were pleased to see Q3 was a marked improvement over Q2. Now, granted, nowhere near how we entered this year in January of 2020, but still an improvement in how they're looking at the intention to hire. And that's truly across sectors. And then finally, in the long term, Becky, it's a dynamic situation. When you and I spoke just a couple of months ago, I shared with you that 30% of American employers were saying it's going to take 12 months or longer. So only 30% to get back to pre-hiring pandemic levels. And now we're seeing a short few months later, over 60% of companies are saying it's going to take a year or more to get back to pre-pandemic hiring. So a very dynamic labor force is what we're facing today.
And that doesn't sound great. It sounds like Americans are going to be in for a tougher time just in terms of waiting for these jobs to come back. Maybe that explains some of the anxiety that came out when you talked to employees, 91% of whom said keeping their job is their top priority right now.
Yes. So I think it's a bit of a roller coaster of a recovery. We take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And we did ask American workers, we think it's important that their voices are heard as companies reopen in the workplace and in some cases the workforce. And you're correct. Their number one hope after coming out of the crisis was keeping their job. But it was interesting, Becky, when we asked them what concerned them most, after health concerns, physical health concerns, the second biggest concern was losing the flexibility that they've gained during this crisis. We had more people want to work remote a couple of days a week than wanted to work remote full time. And back to the employer survey that we did, that's the workers' view. On the employer side, 30% of the employers that we surveyed said they intend to offer remote working or some kind of flexible working. And 10% of these American employers said they intend to offer 100% option around remote working. So we are seeing the separation of the workforce and the workplace on both the employer and the employee side.